Hello, this is week 6 of Marriage and Family Theories, Techniques, and Techniques 2, um, Postmodernization and Social Construct. And this is the small group recording. And we're going to discuss some of the things that uh, we know about uh, the postmodernization and the social construct. For me, reading into and being in the lecture about the postmodernization, they only had certain types of therapies um, prior to the 1970s that they completed amongst many of the individuals who were in therapy at the time. Um, and from culturally looking at it, they didn't have enough diversity in those cultures, in within all of the cultures, especially as we became more diverse in different areas, to provide what was needed. Because I don't think anyone had any consideration for that, right? And what I think they found was that um, they had to look at your location and the structure of your background and your culture and how you grew up and those types of things in order to um, get to where they are today, which still I think needs a lot of work, but have come a long way from what I knew of therapy. Because when I was younger, therapy was not on the table for anybody that in um, my social location, nor in my culture from the people that I knew, because it wasn't built for us. Um, and it was a place where a lot of individuals felt like uh, going into those situations would be worse than trying to figure it out on your own. Because a lot of people, had children taken away and those types of things in, certain circumstances. And I just happened to have some intimate knowledge of those things happening. My mom was a very young mother. She had 4 children by the time she was 22 years old and was married to someone who was in the military and gone all the time. So there was no help. And, you know, children don't come with a handbook. So my brothers ended up being in the system. And from that, of course, we kind of took on the mindset of the system takes your children, right? And therapy was required, and those types of things, the mandates, and child therapy, and all that stuff was something that was required. But again, you see how the stigma kind of went towards, you're in that situation and they take your children away. And she wasn't faultless, in all of that. But again, parenting doesn't come with a book. We kind of figure it out as we go, right? So those are the types of things. Um, the belief of the absolute truth and um, the multiple perspectives and narratives of the postmodernization kind of gives some construct to at least seeing people at the table that look like you will make you feel a little more at ease in my from my perspective.
Yeah, I think it's expanded
Sure.
greatly from
I
when
agree.
it began, depending on people's needs, your history, your background, your beliefs, everything. It's definitely taken into consideration more, um, you know, more people just in general and how they see the world. And then it kind of tailors the therapy for the individual,
Hmm.
I think.
And I don't think it, for me, thinking about it from the way that it was explained through the readings and the lecture, um, it is not left all up on the therapist. It kind of shares some of the responsibility with the clients and the therapist to come to the conclusion, instead of, this is what I see, this is what's happening, and this has got to be the reality.
Yeah, that's what I like about the postmodernism, because the clients are equal with the therapist, unlike the old um, old ways where the doctor is going to tell you, this is what you're going to take, this is what you're going to do, this is what the procedures that needs to be done so that you'll get well. But here, and even not even and even the therapists before, like the Bowenian, the narrative, uh, they tell you what to do. The client is more dependent on the therapist, and the therapist acts like they are the one who is uh, th- who is knowledgeable, and whatever the therapist say, the client will follow or will do. So in this postmodernism, it has transformed the family therapy into a more collaborative and context sensitive practice, so that it's not only it's not only the problem that you are tackling, but what are the backgrounds? What happened that produced this problem? The background, and just like what you said, it's the even the gender is being considered, so that the analysis of the problem will be better.
I agree. I think postmodernism and social constructivism really opens the doors for a lot of areas and families. There's two moms, two dads, single moms, single dads, grandparents that are caregivers. And you can't just look at one particular way of doing things anymore, because now you have to open up to everybody, and it takes their background into consideration, their culture into consideration, and it really, the person's opinion or the person's perspective of what's going on is shaped by their reality, by what is going on around them, their environment, how they grew up, if they ever dealt with any of these emotions before, and then it comes up as an adult. It might not be what's physically going on right here and now with your partner or your sister or your mom or your dad, but it could happen. It could have been because of years before that wasn't really taken care of. And I really like this concept of it, because it's true. We're not just looking at one way of doing things. People come up from all different forms, races, backgrounds, cultures, and just simple ways of doing things that will kind of lead into other things. And not saying that their way is incorrect, but just helping, understanding the actual what's going on in people's perspectives to lead them to be more empathetic towards each other.
Yeah, Christina, I love the way you said that, because that kind of jogs my memory on the historical, cultural context, and some of the social processes, because historical culture is relative, because we are what we've gone through. We're made up of all those things, and to not have that as context in what people who are treating us is looking for, it kind of like takes away a portion of that, and it makes the interaction between people not constructive, right? So I think that the knowledge and the social active action is ideal in understanding the differences in the social um, environment of individuals.
Yeah, truth is not based on one thing. So truth now is defined as, just like what you said, Melise, it's relative now. And depending on how the problem, the what the problem is, then you tackle all of those backgrounds and history, and so that you can have a better understanding of the problem, and then you can, with the client, be able to uh, start the healing process.
Yeah, I think it can't, like the therapist used to try to predict, right? This is how it's going to go. Well, now
Right.
instead, I think it's kind of like the therapist has to fill in all the blanks first, right? All the unknowns. So not 1 + 1 is 2, but blank plus blank equals, rainbow, whatever the end result ends
Mhm.
up being, right? So it's a little bit more work, a little bit more involved, um, but it includes a lot more, which I think is or can be helpful.
Well, yeah, and I like both perspectives because they're important to the social context and integrating and shaping our world as it is today. We I'm so glad that we're at the part where we're combining the different methods because I was like, do you just like, in the old days, do you take your method that you're most comfortable with and run with it? But now that we're combining these methods and utilizing pre and post, it's starting to now make a lot more sense to use the different angles.
And a little bit easier too, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Be a little bit more
Even for the
moldable.
therapist, you are more. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm so sorry, Lynea. Go ahead.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
Oh, thank you. So that you are more flexible in the situation. You are not bound by, okay, so Bohemian only, this is what you're going to use. But depending on the personalities, depending on the uh, behavior of the clients, then you can take any theory, any model that can apply uh, more appropriately to the situation.
Definitely agreed.
Is there anything else anybody wanted to add?
Uh, do you have any critique on the postmodernism?
I liked it. I,
I did too. I
I
think
think
both of
open
them.
door. Yeah.
And it's good that we are in this
Yeah.
era
Uh,
that we can
you
we can
know,
apply this.
it's funny you should say that because I always tell myself I'm very fortunate to be where I am at the time where doing what I'm doing at the moment, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's for everything in life. When you're in the right space, you feel good about where you are in the moment, and it creates an easy path forward.
Yep. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to our small group. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.